BTC still putting the market under pressure, a little bleed out. The alts are sweating a little bit as well. But is it time for a short-term bounce in the market? Well, it doesn't look like it right now, but I do have 7 setups for you guys that I think could be playing out if we are going to get a short-term bounce. And I've catered for a couple of other setups for you guys in case these guys want to send us deeper into the depths of hell. So we got lots to talk about here today. Let's get right into it. And remember, as always, hit that like button, hit the bell, and I've got a special likes bouncer here for you guys today. It's fucking quality, Raymond. Okay, let's get right into this. Okay, here's Banter Bubbles on the 1 hour. Okay, so let's get it. Let's flip this thing onto the daily here and see what is actually going on. Can somebody tell me why Uniswap out of nowhere decided to start absolutely ripping there for us, and everything else looks like absolute dog shit at the moment? So if you've been sweating in alts, you would have noticed today that we had fairly good news on CPI. Well, I mean, it was relatively flat. We had unemployment data that came out as well, and we're going to talk about that just now. But the crypto market doesn't seem to like what they've given us at the moment, but the S&P seems okay, but all around red everywhere. Okay, look at this Aptos. My God, there's minus 12% there, getting absolutely smashed. Runes floating around, but there's a couple of things going on here in the market. I've been watching very closely today. It's been obviously one of those days where you spend a lot of time in front of the charts with the CPI and the news floating around, and you really start digging in. And there's a couple of setups that could be brewing on some levels now for you guys. They're a little bit more D-Gen plays for you guys. And then I've got some bangers, all a little bit lower down. So we got lots going on here today. Let's take a look at BTC on the 4 hour and see what these guys have. What's Richard saying? Seriously, Rainbow Ray. Don't you guys just love that? I mean, where's Rainbow Ray? Rainbow Ray's gone. He's gone. He's left us. I said to Ray, bro, I'll do anything if you do that. Now I have to do anything. Okay, so just to recap where we were yesterday. Okay, BTC on the 4 hour. Notable here that we know we've been looking bearish on BTC for a while on the daily charts. We understand that. We've been saying, I mean, you guys have been getting upset with me. I've been saying 53K. Well, not you guys, not my loyal followers, but there's other people out there that are getting salty when I start talking things like 53K. And we've seen the signs. They were there on the daily. And now the signs are coming out on the 4 hour chart as well. So as we're going into lower time frames, things are starting to look slightly more bearish along the way. So very important to note what is going on here with BTC on the 4 hour. You can see we've got this really nice rising trend that's been in play since our original dumps in September. Now, what has happened after yesterday's disaster, after all that FUD yesterday with the market makers and all these things? And that actually happened after my show, guys. Remember, yesterday we caught that banging level on BTC. Then there was an announcement that there were a ton of arrests on a lot of market makers and things like that. That is obviously pretty bearish for crypto. That's pretty brutal for crypto. And the charts did respond. So if you're wondering what that was all about yesterday, well, that was triggered by the news that these guys were getting arrested. Even Interpol was involved. They were collecting guys all over the world. So it was pretty big news for crypto. So that helped trigger that little loss of trend. So now we are looking bearish. We've lost the 4 hour trend. And when we start losing a rising trend, that generally starts triggering a new downtrend. And that's the same principle that I've been showing you guys on the daily as to why I was a higher time frame bearish, and then occasionally we can be shorter time frame bullish when we are looking for bounces. So right now, BTC has dipped into our zone that we were talking about yesterday. Now, they were pretty aggressive into that area, and we hit some lows here at 60,300. So that is, it's a level that we can watch at the moment, that 6,300. But this is now bringing us very close to that zone that I was talking about on the 3rd of October. This was a hot zone that we were waiting for. It was a high conviction long zone there. And I wanted to see that dip at the time into that zone before we got a pump. Now, they have front run that. They're pushing it back down. So this is becoming an interesting zone for me. Now, you know, a lot of the levels that we're looking at on these altcoins at the moment, unless there's a major shift in dominance, they're going to feel pressure as well if Bitcoin is going to start dipping into the 59.5 zone. But I have got a couple of limit orders set at this 59,500 region, looking for a BTC buy there in case they want to wick us into that zone. So that is bounce zone number one to the downside. If we don't get some kind of move higher today at this current level. So you're going to watch 60,300. You can see this is our support at play. If we start losing that, I wouldn't be surprised. 59,500, 59,600. We've got the anchored VWAP from August coming into play on this level. I've got the 0.5, and I've also got tons of horizontal juice here in this zone for you guys. So it's a relatively hot zone. I would expect a reaction in that area. So we're looking for that type of bounce there. And Mutu's giving great advice. Price action is unfavorable. Do not overtrade. Be patient. Yes, guys, when we are in a downtrend like this, okay, foot off the gas, position sizes are smaller, we calm down, less trades, those types of things. When the market turns bullish again, we fire it up, okay? Very simple game plan. Thanks, Mutu, for that cool advice. 59,600, that is what we're watching to the downside. If they are going to get more aggressive today, very important. We are now at the phase where we start adding new levels to the downside to pay attention to. As we start breaking lower, always on these alts and on BTC, once we get to a certain region, we got to identify what happens if the wheels come off here and they start dumping and there's an absolute capitulation candle. Then my next level, 57,800 is what we are watching. So these are the two big ones left to the downside. And what am I expecting now? So you saw my tile. I am expecting some kind of snapback bounce here at some point. Now, I wanted to see it earlier with this bullish S&P. I was looking for a push higher into this type of region, the 62K zone, somewhere there before they continue the pain. So that principle is still in play until proven otherwise. If we do get a push, that 62K region looks like an interesting zone to me to the upside. What I want to do here is just pull up the liquidation map just to give you guys an area of interest here. And you can see there's such a hot zone here, 62,400, absolute banger up there. And then a little bit lower down, 61.5. So there's a beautiful chunk just to the upside there for us. And then a little bit to the downside, you can see a little bit of a juicy zone here. Anything just to about that 59,300, 59,400 zone. So the liquidation map is tying in pretty nicely with the current situation. So we're just going to have to wait and see now. And I have opened one or two trades that I'm going to show you. One of them was Tao, and it was too good to resist. It was dropping into a zone of interest. So it's a slightly risky play here, and I'm going to take you guys through it as soon as we can. Okay, next thing. Let's just get into a couple of things here as to what is going on in the market. And Ray, you're just going to have to confirm if you can hear the sound here, bro. I just want to put this. I mean, this is just a great example of what investing in crypto feels like. I wanted to share this with you guys.
I'm sure it doesn't feel like rainbows.
Ray, let me know if you can hear this. Man. Oh, man.
I mean, hey, it looks like my Saturday nights.
It's just a regular night on the town. I mean, this is nothing new here. Investing in crypto. Okay, so just a bit of fun there. That was from Altcoin Daily that they were sharing there for us. And let's get back into some BTC juice. Okay, so what is going on here in the news? So China, People's Bank of China launches additional $70 billion stimulus to boost their economy and capital markets. So bigger picture, macro stuff, it's pretty bullish. Okay, that's a pretty nice little setup there that is going on. So October disagrees though. We minus 4% on October. So this is really now not going according to plan. If you look at all the green Septembers, after a green September, we have had a green October, a very green October. And right now things are not going to plan. Like I said yesterday, still early days. Okay, we're moving into the middle of the month now. We can still get some kind of push later. Remember, we still have the election catalyst play that could come in. So let them flush out. Let them do what they need to do for now. I do suspect we are going to finish okay in October in the end. Okay, Walter Bloomberg just giving you guys the news. What happened? CPI came out today, and actual month-on-month 0.2. So that was fine. And then year-on-year, okay, they didn't make the estimate. The estimate was 2.3, but the previous month was 2.5. So that tells us it's still coming down. Okay, so we can't get grumpy about that. We can't get that upset because it's actually beaten the previous month. Fine, it didn't hit the expectations, but that still played out okay. And the S&P, and we also had unemployment news. So the S&P is still cooking. Okay, so no changes here. for that S&P. And I had a bit of a problem. Okay, so I've now been logged out, but I had a bit of a problem with Prime XBT logging in just now. But that is, I'm still sitting long now on that S&P. My stop hasn't changed. 5,738. They can send us to Valhalla, or they can come back and close that candle from yesterday. So that is what I'm looking at. And current target 5,800 for the S&P. We've almost pinged that. And then we do have another zone there at about 6,000 for the S&P. How we get there, I mean, it could be tons of chop along the way. Really, it could be an absolute mess before they send us there. But 6,000, I think that is now locked in at some point in the next few months. I suspect we're going to get to that 6,000 level. So that is now teed up pretty nicely. And then Michael van der Poppe, okay, he gave quite a nice breakdown as to the news that came out today. He said CPI coming in slightly higher than expected, not a big deal. Yes, agree. Then he said the unemployment claims. Now, this was a big one. They printed the highest number since June 2023, 258K. And he's basically saying, look, probably there's rumors about QE and more rate cuts will strengthen. Okay, it should be, in theory, positive for BTC. Now, the BTC or crypto market is doing its own thing. I mean, look at this S&P. It's looking like an absolute banger. And then you got to look at BTC, like absolute shit coinery going on now still in this downtrend. So they're not quite marrying to each other just yet, but I do suspect at some point these things will tee up into each other and they will be okay in the end. Now, also, I found this tweet today, and finally, someone who actually agrees with me. Okay, now I've been saying, 53K is on the table, and he's come out here this was yesterday evening. Continuing the downwards fall means that we're likely having lower tests. Correct. Okay, he wanted it to hold yesterday in that zone, but now he's looking sub 59.5 and then some kind of reversal. So he's dropped an interesting chart there for us, and he's highlighted the 57K, 56, and I mean, there's a couple of levels there, 50K, sub 50 as well, 48. We don't have to go that dark and deep, but we're gonna play what's in front of us. But this just brings me back to my BTC on the daily, and this is our downtrend that we spoke about yesterday. You can see clear downtrend now. What happens in a downtrend? Well, I would expect something like this. Okay, this is what we're covering now for the last while, and we could see this play out. So we will get bounces in between on these altcoins. We will get vicious bounces on a couple of them, and there will be opportunities along the way on some of these bags. But I suspect until we start breaking super bullish regions above us, that would be the 200-day MA for me that I'd like to see that get broken. Until that starts happening, we need to be a little bit bearish on the market. So if we do get a bounce, we're taking profits, we're looking to exit, we're tightening up stops, and we're not trading massive long size positions and things until we have direction. Now, that's quite unfortunate because the WSOT has started. It went live today, guys. So that is now live. You can still register for the World Series of Trading. This is a ByBit competition, and they actually let you open a separate account. So it won't affect your existing ByBit account. You just do it through your account. They let you open another one, and then you guys can crack on with that. So make sure you jump in. Sniper Club members, we have created a new channel as of today for the ByBit challenge, and all the traders in there will be dropping our ideas, we'll be dropping our setups, our thoughts, and things like that in the ByBit challenge for you guys in Sniper Club. So if you're interested in that, or you want a bit of action, come and join us in the Sniper Club. There is a link in the description below for you guys, and we'll keep that section busy. And then, Ray, one more time, I really have to talk about my tiny little package that is very thin, and I'm very embarrassed to tell you that I've got a very thin tiny package. And here it is over here. It's the Ledger Flex. Okay, tiny little thing, tiny little package. And there it is. Okay, there's the Ledger Flex. And it's a touch screen. It's a proper story. And these guys have partnered with Banter, and they've offered a special deal for you guys to get a tiny little package like me. And if you want a small package, you can get a bigger package if you buy the bigger ones. But this is the Ledger Flex, and what they've done to entice you to buy this thing is give you $50 of BTC. Okay, it's still loading. They want to give you $50 of BTC loaded onto the Ledger Flex if you buy the specific one. So take a look there. There is a link in the description. Just go into the show description underneath here, and you'll see it. You'll find it over there, your Ledger link towards the bottom, and take advantage of that. It's basically a $50 discount on a Ledger, and it's going to be preloaded for you guys. Okay. Now, time for setups. Time for setups for now. Time for setups for later if they want to come and end us. And let's tee us up a nice couple of days. Okay, so still retesting the total 3. This is total 3, the entire crypto market excluding Bitcoin and ETH, still in a retest. We can't be that bearish yet on altcoins. As disgusting as it feels at the moment, we do have a weekly retest underway. We've got the rising trend, we've got the descending trend. This is a hot zone, okay? To say this is a must bounce zone, well, I can't emphasize that enough. We really must bounce here. But this is something we want to see. If we start closing under that type of region, yes, then we're going to be in pain. And then we're going to really have to reassess where we are with the altcoins. Now, one thing you need to watch when Bitcoin is flat or Bitcoin is dumping, the first thing you want to lock your eyes onto is dominance. You can see dominance is now coming down. So you might notice those in the chat that are saying that we're starting to move now. This is dominance pushing down. That means the altcoins are tired of a bit of a sell-off, and maybe they're going to start consolidating and then pushing a little bit higher. So big zone that we're watching here, 57.6%. When we hit that zone, that is a danger zone for altcoins. If we have a nice little run now on these altcoins, just bang out this dominance chart, take a look, see if we're getting a dominance bounce. If we're getting a big dominance bounce, maybe you want to tighten up stops. Maybe you want to take some profit on some of your trades along the way. Okay, let's go. Sol, this thing is absolutely killing me at the moment. I'm still sitting in the Sol position, and we were discussing it on Sniper Club today. And if we get a hard enough bounce, I'm just going to bang in some extra size, and I'm going to knock my stop under whatever wick we have. So we're going to see. It's going to be something like that. So that 135 region that I spoke about yesterday, we have now triggered that. That was the 135 zone that we were looking at for Sol. We have now dropped into that. It's another visit to that 618. This is exactly why I think this could be a short-term lived bounce, because we're pushing back into a trend, 144, and then maybe they're going to send us a little bit lower. Now we play it by ear. If things turn mega bullish and we blow through that type of zone, then there's potentially an opportunity there on a retest play as well. And there could be longs from about 144 on Sol, and then we'll target 160 and those types of things. But right now, if there is a bounce, danger ahead. 144 is what you guys need to watch very carefully. Okay, the next one is CAS. I'm going to jump through this pretty quickly, guys. I want to get you covered here in case this market does start moving. The next one is CAS that I spoke about yesterday, and I dropped this as a signal or a trade in Sniper Club earlier today. And yesterday, I was speaking about CAS dropping into a hot zone. Now, look at this perfection on CAS. Okay, we were up here somewhere yesterday, we were somewhere up there in that zone, and I was saying, let's just wait. What did we do? Ping into the 786, bang into that trend, and our target that we were hitting, that 0.125 zone, that has now been hit for CAS. Okay, so this is now a zone of interest for us. If we get another dip into that area, there's a trade on here for me on CAS. So now we know CAS has been singing its own tune, doing its own thing lately, and seems to behave slightly differently to a lot of these other tokens. So for me, CAS might be due some kind of reversal, 0.126, 0.125, 0.124, anywhere in those types of zones could be a nice little trade there up for you guys. And your risk at the moment, if you get your average entry down into the center of the box, you'll need to play it safe here, because your average risk is going to be about 4.6%. But there could be a nice little upside move on CAS for you guys. And the upside target I have highlighted there, 0.14, and then your next one, 0.149. So these are nice little upside targets for a short little bounce play on CAS. Naturally, if it breaks that 200-day MA that you can see ahead of you, then we can start getting a bit more aggressive on that thing. Then we can maybe add or whatever, but that's a whole nother story. Let's just get this thing moving to the upside first. So CAS finally in our zone. That is now a hot zone for me. I'm watching that, just looking for consolidation in that area, and then a nice little bounce for us on CAS. So that could be a nice play for you guys. Then I've got this interesting thing, AVAX versus BTC. And one of our members in Sniper Club today was mentioning this on our live stream. And look at that. We've got a beautiful double bottom on the weekly. Now, we haven't looked at this one in a while, and this is looking relatively bullish. If that is the bottom of AVAX versus BTC, well, then things could be teeing up for some kind of nice move. Okay, and you can see what's happened with AVAX BTC in the past. Look at the size of these moves, and this is what we got in December. We got total outperformance here from November to December. We got about a 276% outperformance here on AVAX versus BTC. So that brings me to this guy, and what I've got for you is an entry that I've been waiting for a couple of days here. We are almost there, 25.3. That is my entry zone. It's a higher conviction zone. It's a 618 fib. It's a horizontal. It's the 50-day moving average. 25.3, somewhere in that region for me is a potential bounce play for AVAX. Now, that is a weak move on BTC down, okay, and then a nice push higher. That is what we're looking for. I think that could be a nice short-term bounce move for you guys on AVAX. once we break trends, once we break 27, 28, those types of levels, then we start figuring out if this move is sustainable or not. Now, if Bitcoin, our buddy over here, starts dipping to lower levels, okay? Watch these lower levels here. What you want to do is tie in one of these levels here on BTC if it starts falling over with one of these levels on AVAX, okay? You want to watch one of those zones there for a reaction. If BTC is dropping onto its corresponding support, AVAX on its corresponding support, there could be a sign there that we could get some kind of bounce. So AVAX 25.3, you'll have a tight stop in that zone. It's quite a low risk play there. It's probably about a 1.5% trade for you guys that you can get if you pick it up at that 25.3, 25.4 zone, 1.5% risk. If we do lose that level, then your next banger zone, 24. That's a big one for me. That's our anchored VWAP. I want to show you again how this thing reacts. Look at this guy. And we bounced off it here once. We bounced off it twice. And I would expect if we dip into trend and anchored VWAP in that region, there's another bounce play for you guys on AVAX at 24. So mark both of these on your charts. You know, anything can happen in the next 24 hours. And just make sure you have these levels ready to go on your charts. And remember, Sniper Club members, all these charts get dropped by Ray, courtesy of Rainbow Ray, into Sniper Club directly after the show with all the drawings on everything. So it might be messy. Just make sure you watch the show for context if you are trying to figure out what I'm trying to say there. So that will be in the Sniper Club for you guys. Okay, here's Injective. Again, same story as yesterday. Bigger picture, bearish. Okay, bigger picture, 17. Is there a chance for an interim bounce? Let me show you. I think there could be something coming here on Injective. So what you can do is you zoom out, bigger picture. You say where I am on the bigger picture, 18.8. You can see that is a level. That is some kind of bounce zone there for us. Then you dial in and you say, okay, smaller picture, what can actually happen here on Injective? So you can see what's happening here. We are in a downtrend at the moment. This thing is trending down. Okay, we could get something here at this 18.6 zone on Injective. So I would play that region, 18.6. Look for a bounce in that zone on Injective if you do get that opportunity. Now, that it just depends how much risk you want to limit. Okay, so I mean, if you're jumping in now, you're opening yourself up to about 3.5% risk. If you jump in lower, if there's a bleed out, then your risk is way less. You're looking at about 1 to 2% in that type of zone. So it all depends on how you're playing your leverage, how you're playing things, and where your exit zones are. And for me, what I like to do is I like to exit under major areas. I don't like to randomly exit on, random areas unless I've zoomed out and I know where the big zones are. So for me, that is one of your big zones, that 18.6, and looking for a bounce there. If that area fails, I've got you covered here, 17.3. That looks like a nice region. Now, you might get something going on here, okay? But I wouldn't, it's not my best. My best is going to be that 786 at about 17 on Injective. So watch those two areas. Very simple game plan there on Injective. And if this thing runs away from you, you guys know the story by now. You can play the trend breaks. Very simple game plan here with these trend breaks. What you want to do, wait for that breakout candle. When that thing starts blowing, absolutely blowing, you're going to look for a stop either under the breakout candle or on one of the previous lows that you can use on Injective, and then let it start pushing once it reclaims important levels. Look at this 50-day moving average. No, that doesn't count. That's 382. Horizontal 50-day moving average, anchored VWAPs. Once it reclaims those levels, then it can be short-term bearish again bullish on the 1 hour. Okay, so there is something potentially going on there on Injective. Then an interesting one for us. This was brought up by a Sniper Club member today, and we were talking about Reef. Now, I haven't spoken about this one on my show in ages, and this thing has been super bullish lately, and this is Reef on the 1 hour, and they were asking for a couple of degen levels, okay? And the first level I gave them today was 0068, which is this guy right up here that you can see for potential bounce. That was the anchored VWAP low from October. That was also a 382. That was also a horizontal play. So there could be something here on Reef potentially for you guys. It's a higher risk, high degen play. And then lower down, I've got a nice little zone of interest here. It's the 618, and it's the trend, and it's the horizontal. So that's a nice zone for me, 00656. So if that area fails, that is your next big one that you're going to be looking at. Now, what I was trying to explain today on the Sniper Club Zoom is these 382s, quite typically, they give you that first bounce, and then they start almost what can be considered as your downtrend. So we had an example over here. We had this pump. We bounced on a 382. then we pushed up, and then they sent it down. And this could be a very similar situation where we're bouncing on this 382, and then they send it down for your next potential bounce. So just watch out for something like that. If you are playing the DGen game, tight stops here under this 0.676, that type of area. You'd want to exit over there. If you start losing that zone, then you start dipping into, you start testing new regions. Okay, then we've got that other one over there, Sniper Club, guys. You'll have this chart in Sniper Club for you at 64. So Reef, pretty simple little bounce play that could be underway. And then what do you want to do with it if you do catch this thing and this starts moving? What does it do? Where does it go? Well, just zoom out a little bit, take a look on the daily, and let's try and just figure out where this thing can go. Now, I mean, I don't want to get like that bullish on this thing, but I just want to highlight, this thing is looking quite aggressive at the moment. So let's highlight this zone over here. There. Okay. So 0.8 looks interesting to me. Then we've got another one up there. Bang. Okay, 0.12. Now that is in assuming perfect bullish conditions. Okay, and we're not exactly in those conditions just yet. But what I could suggest here is lately the strength out of Reef, we can see their strength when Bitcoin turns super aggressive again. Maybe you just want this on your watch list. Maybe it's just something you need to pay attention to going forward. So Reef is now on my watch list. Thanks for, I can't remember the gent's name who gave that to me, but nice little banger there on Reef, something to watch. Who is sitting here in the chats? And I see Dave K is talking about 5-minute guard candles. Love those. Is that, Ray, what's going on there, bro? You super quiet. Are you like trading on the side? Or what's happening there, bro?
Well, I'm watching. I took a long on Bitcoin.
Well, thanks for telling everybody. You got to tell us, bro. Okay, well, okay. Well, Ray went long on BTC, and my Prime XBT is not open, so it's a bit of a problem. Okay, let's go. Reef. Okay, Ondo, guys. Ondo, I started my Ondo position. I gave you this setup yesterday. Very interesting zone for me. This was a 618 region. There was also a trend in the area as well. And you can see we've got a zone. Okay, it's interesting here in that area for me. And it's something to consider. Now, we know there's a big unlock coming in January on Ondo. We know that. It's a big one. Maybe that is why there's been so much weakness on Ondo relative to the rest of the market. It hasn't been as strong as it has been in the past. And, for me, this was just dropping into a good zone, and it could offer short-term bounce here on Ondo. So if you're interested, I have started my position. I've got another entry at 0.64, somewhere in that region. So if we do dip into that zone, I'm looking to grab some Ondo there. That's super tight, just above that stop region. And that should bring my average entry to a nice risk of about 2.5%. So that is what I'm looking at there for Ondo, looking for a dip into that box. Then if the market bounces, you'll see Ondo should naturally just start pushing up with the market. It might not be as exciting as WIF or Popcat or something, but it can maybe get something going here. So we waited for a long time for this Ondo position, and it's finally here in the zone. So could be a bounce play here for you guys. The entry is anything from 0.66 down to 0.64, anywhere in that region. The exit zone, ideally, if you can get a candle close on the 1 hour below 6344, that would be your exit. So if you do get that candle close under that zone, then you most likely are visiting lower levels. So just manage your risk appropriately. I will be out. If we start closing under 6344, I'm jumping out of this thing, and we'll wait for another day. So your next zone to the downside, 57, 58, that type of region is most likely where it's going to go to. So right now, could be a short little play on Ondo. Upside targets that you could look for potentially 74 and 85. Okay, those are the two zones. And here it is. I've opened that position in WeX earlier today. And you'll see I'm also in a Tao position. I'm going to take you through that. I did mention that at the start of the show. And just started some small positions here. Again, we don't want to be super hyper aggressive here in these conditions. I mean, things are absolutely brutal at the moment. And yesterday was a beautiful example of the chop that these guys can come and do, and the games that they can play. So again, just keeping it safe. And Cunning George says Ray's not sharing his calls. Ray, that's a penalty. Luke says Ray's going to get rinsed. And Onka says Tia Celestia unlocking 800 million in October. That's disgusting. And Bruce, so Bruce, me and Bruce were on a meeting. Okay, we were on a Sniper Club meeting earlier, and I was like, Bruce, this tower, 550. It's looking interesting. Okay, let's take a look. So here's tower at on the bigger picture. So as usual, we zoom out. Where can this thing go in the bigger picture? Okay, bigger picture, you can see 480. Upside, 750. So we understand that in the bigger time frame, yes, this thing could be churning lower. 480 is a target for us. What do we do on the short term, the degens? Okay, this is degen trading here for you guys. And this is what I've set up here. This is tower on the 1 hour. Now, we had this on a Sniper Club Zoom. One of our members asked about tower, and we took an in-depth look at this thing, and we gave a couple of areas of interest. So at the time, tower was sitting up here, and we were either saying we need to break up this region to turn bullish, or we're waiting for lower. So right now, you can see tower has dipped into our first zone, the 550 region, and that is where I was looking for that entry, and that is where I grabbed that entry. So you can see it's on 550 there on the button. 550.2 is where it is. Let me show you where my stop is. Oh, firstly, that's Ondo. Okay, you can see there's my limit order there on Ondo at 64. There's my Ondo stop loss now at the moment. If I'm watching that trade live, we'll obviously manage it accordingly. And let's just talk about, let's just sort this tower out. And tower, you can see I've got a very tight stop. It was under that candle. So once we got that little bounce in that zone, I banged the stop there, 543. So that is my current situation on tower. And what you do basically is you start tracking these levels lower down. So you always zoom out. You say, where am I on my bigger picture? Then I'm going to zoom in. Where can we get bounces? Now, it depends how bearish Bitcoin is going to be today. It depends how gross this market is going to be. But typical conditions, we could see something like that, a little push up into that zone before the next dump. Okay, then we're looking at that type of story. Here's your 480. There's that 480 high conviction, bigger picture trade. That is where 480, where we're going to put on the alarm bells, and I'm going to be banging out something like this for you guys when the time is right. We're going to say, okay, now's the time to long tower, and we're looking for 55%. Right now, we're looking for a few percent. Okay, we're going to take whatever tower is going to give us in the meantime. And if they can give us, let's say they can give us 5%, maybe they can give us up to 7.5%, 8% on leverage. Nice little trade, nice little scalp trade that is available. So you can trade these zones. So tower right now, 550, you can see that's the level. My stop's at 443. That's where I'm jumping out. Okay, so ideally what we can play out here potentially is some kind of consolidation in the zone here, and then maybe we get a pop later on today, and then we can just add a little bit and just quickly increase the size and see what happens when we get to the top there. So simple game plan there on tower. If this thing starts falling over, your next reaction zone, okay, it's a do nothing in between. That's a do nothing zone. Do absolutely nothing. Wait. 516, there's a do something zone. 516, then a little bit lower down, 480, that's your big one. Okay, that's a hot zone there for me. Loving that at that 480 zone. Tons of support there as well. So nice little setup here, tower, and nice little structure for you guys. You can copy this one if there is a little bit of weakness to the downside. You know now what you can do. And there that's Rune, fuck me. Okay, so I wanted to talk Rune today with you guys as well. There's a lot of buzz in Sniper Club around it because we're running that 10x challenge. Well, Sheldon's heavily running this 10x challenge at the moment, and basically when the market looks right for a bounce and things like that, he pings everybody in the Sniper Club, and then he says, okay, we're prepping for a trade, blah blah blah. And then we're looking at basically the principle here is starting small positions, growing the size, and really just accelerating a bit as we go. So that is what everybody is learning there in Sniper Club. And right now, Rune was one of the topics. So I've been talking about Rune for a couple of days now, talking about it being in a bearish, bigger picture time frame. It's bearish. Okay, you can see we got a nice little downtrend here on Rune as well. And my current game plan was, or is, okay, it still remains the same. Anything down to this 4.5 zone is a bounce zone for me on Rune. Now, if we do get a pop, anything up to about 5, that level, that's an exit region for me. So anything up to 5, that's a high danger zone. Look at that. We've got big horizontals there. We've got the 200-day MA coming in the way. We've also got a trend. So that's a major danger zone for me. So anybody trading Rune up to 5, you need to exercise caution there. If we pop that zone, different story. Okay, very different game if we start breaking through that region. Right now, let's look at Rune on a lower time frame just to get a picture as to what is going on. And you can see it started consolidating around this 786. So this is what I wanted to show you guys. Unfortunately, now this thing has started kicking on. But what we're watching here is the anchored VWAP from September. Okay, so nice support that it's been giving us today, 4.57. Then we've got 786 confluence in that region, that's 4.6. And now Rune is potentially kicking on to the upside. So what we need to watch here, we can bang out this trend on the lower time frame as well. We can look at this guy. Okay, short term, we can start looking at potential danger zones here on Rune. And this is now for short-term traders. So if you're looking for a Rune scalp now, I can show you a couple of things you can play with. But now that it's popped a little bit, your risk is now going to increase slightly. So what you're going to look at now, traders, if you want to jump into this Rune, your first line of support is going to be 4.68. Okay, 4.68 is what you're looking at. Danger zone over here. Okay, if we start losing that type of area, then we might be coming back to visit those lows that we were discussing. So right now, little breakout here on Rune, and it's looking okay. Okay, so you want to bang your stop here, 4.68, somewhere on that region, maybe just a touch lower to cater for any wicks. Let's just look at where our 382 is. No, that's quite nice, 4.68. So just call it 4.68. That's a nice little zone there. Watch that area. If they do sell this thing off, okay, look for that. Watch out that zone. Look for that type of bounce on that one. Then your upside, 4.77. Danger zone there for you, 4.77. Then we've got a little bit more trouble further up here on Rune. Let's just highlight this guy, bang, over there. Okay, so that's anchored VWAP as well. That's a danger zone for you, 4.86. Another little danger zone up there for Rune. So just be super careful. You know where you can put your stop now, and you know these potential TP zones. And look at this. You can see that little rejection there. Very simple rejection on a horizontal. Look at that. Okay, so that is why these things are danger zones for you. Now we need to just see that retest hold, and then Rune should be okay. Now remember, danger zone at 5. Caution up there. Okay, bigger picture, always know where your bigger zone is. 5 looks like a dangerous place to be. Okay, next one I've got for you guys is near. There's a couple of things at play. So near for me, not an amazing zone that it's sitting on now. It's sitting on the 50-day alone. I don't have much backup for it right now. Okay, so near, I've zoomed out and I've said, okay, let's assume BTC drips lower now today. Okay, where can we actually get near on a higher conviction play? For me, that is 4.35. Okay, so we've danced around with this thing, and I tried near up here the other day. Didn't work out. You can see it's dropped now. For me, 4.35. This is a setup here. That's going to take a sweat on BTC. Okay, just like I've shown you on AVAX, that is what you're going to be looking at. And 4.35, that is your zone you want to be watching. Then, if there is further weakness here, I've got to highlight this, 3.94. That's a high conviction trade there for me, 3.94. That would mean we've had a massive sell-off in the market here, and it's time for a big bounce. So 3.94, hot zone. 4.35, hot zone. Okay, if the market pumps now, let's say near starts taking off, I think you're going to get a short opportunity a little bit higher up. And for me, that is somewhere around this 4.87 region. So if we do push higher here, I suspect we'll get some kind of short on near. And you can see why, because we've lost that trend. And if we invert this thing, you can see we've lost that rising trend. And now we are just looking for that retest and then that bounce off that trend. So could be an interesting play there on near if we do get some kind of pumpage on the market. Okay, so right now, 4.35 hot zone, 3.95 hot zone. That is what we need to play. Let's talk Myro. This is a very interesting one for me. And I've got 2 charts on you for Myro. Now, I noticed the last couple of days, and Myro performed a lot better than the rest of the market. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what is going on in the background there, but things were going on there with Myro in the last couple of days. And I wanted to highlight the 3-day chart for you first before we look at more of a degen sort of setup for these guys. What we can see is very clear to us. Myro is at major resistance. Okay, so any trades we're getting into now on Myro, we understand major resistance ahead of us. Okay, so there's a big move ahead, and there's a high probability that in a situation like that, it can actually reject quite hard. So we need to understand bigger picture. What happens if Myro breaks through this zone? Then you most likely get quite a clean move here. 32%, 55%, 91%. Okay, there's potentially a big move here on Myro. Okay, how do you do that? If you're a DJ. Well, Raymond. Wait, I need some water. Hold on.
Where's the ball?
Oh, there we go. Okay. There might be a ticket into this zone. Okay, now. Okay, with Myro. There might be a ticket here. And this is what I want to show you. So this is Myro on the 1 hour. This is the entry we've been waiting for basically all day. Okay, there it is. We are dipping into this hot zone here, this 86 to 85 zone on Myro. The invalidation is pretty clean. It's pretty clear where we are wrong. Okay, and when I say invalidation, for those that don't know, invalidation is the politest way of saying you've totally fucked the trade up and it's time to get out. Okay, so if Myro is going to be invalidated, for me, that means it's closing under this 83 to 84 level. Okay, so if we get a mega dump here, okay, and we start closing under that region, then that's invalidated, because I think this zone is going to get taken out, and then we most likely dancing around at the 74 zone again. Okay, so Myro, super volatile, super dangerous play, especially if you are doing this on leverage. You can see just today what they have done to everybody. Look at that. Upside, 10%. This has all happened today. Downside, 10%. Okay, so be prepared for pain and suffering if this thing doesn't go your way. What I can do is, if you are wrong under this 83, 86 zone, you might want to look at cutting that a little bit. Okay, so bigger picture, you can see trend, horizontal, anchored VWAP from October lows. Interesting zone here for me, 85, 86, that type of area could give you a bounce. Low leverage, no leverage, small position. Okay, if it starts running, yes, add to it, get excited, do whatever you need to do. But right now, no leverage or low leverage, tiny position. Let's talk WIF quickly as well. And this is WIF on the daily, and we can see what's going on here. Now, WIF is not responding well to the latest fibs that I have. And the reason being is I really like this zone. So if I show you, I'll show you the fibs that we've got here. I really like WIF at 2. Okay, this is bigger picture stuff for WIF at 2. If I pull the fib up, you can see the 𝗬𝗎𝗔𝗡 is not tying in for me anymore. I used to like it when it was tied in over there. Look at that nice juicy little zone there for us at the time. And for me, 2 is still a big level that I'm watching there on WIF. What you can do on the short time frame traders, WIF, you can pull your fib from the low to the high. You can bang out a 618 there. Bang, okay? And you can see that WIF is trying on the shorter time frame to bounce, okay? Now, this doesn't mean it's going to bounce very hard, but it is trying to do something here for us, maybe before it comes back down. Look at this candle. It would make sense to me. Maybe they want to come take out some of that candle higher up there. So there could be a play here on WIF to 2.6 to 2.7. Could be an interesting bounce play here for you. Your support that you want to use today, you got to use the dump lows. So for me, that's going to be 2.2 is probably your most reasonable zone that you can watch. 2.2 as support on WIF, and upside target 2.6, 2.7. But I do think it comes back to this 2 region again, especially if we don't have some kind of super catalyst in the market here and Bitcoin just starts rolling over again. So just be safe. Just be super safe here. And Zen actually says, literally says, everything's going to be okay. And I agree. Everything will be okay in the end. And what else have we got here? Let's see. I got a Popcat. So Popcat, I still think we're going to get an entry here at 1. I think it's just a matter of time, just like WIF as well. You can see the big zones. These big zones become like magnets, and eventually they do come back. So Popcat traders waiting for 1. That is what you're looking at. 1 is your number. 1 is your level that you are looking for. Just be patient there. That's your first hot zone. So no changes to that guy. And then I do have a render chart as per the request. So this was what we were looking at for render the last couple of days. And we have drifted into this hot zone here, this 4.95 region for render. So if this thing's going to bounce, this is it. This is its time to shine. The render. This is literally your moment. Render. Okay. And might have been a nice play on NVIDIA strength, but apparently the crypto market is now unrelated to the S&P and nobody gives a shit anymore, and they just keep dumping crypto. So right now for me, big level on render 5. That's what you got to be watching. That could offer a bounce play. If that does play out, then you're looking at you got a bit of a war zone ahead of you here. 5.4, 5.7, big one up here, 6.2. So there are potential targets here. It could offer a bounce. Be safe, okay? We know render, AI narrative, nice play. If you like the AI narrative, AI runs, we know render can run, 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗓 can run, these types of things. So watch render. I think exit plan for you here, if you're running a tight leverage trade, 4.8, somewhere in that region, 4.8, maybe you want to start bailing on that thing. And then if it does start losing those zones, you most likely start visiting these types of areas. So there'll always be another trade later on. And if this thing fails, okay, you're looking at something down there for me. 4.46, those type of levels on render. And then that trade might look slightly different. That's going to be quite a bearish little trade there, I would expect for us. And we'll probably see render then printing newer lows later on. Okay, so bad news for you guys. And bad news for me, because I actually love doing this shit. I'm not here tomorrow. Okay, I'm going away. So what I've given you today, hopefully some of these setups can come into play for you, including the potential short zones and as well. And the supports that I've given you, I've catered for a couple of things. So hopefully you guys are taken care of till Sunday. I really hope so. I'm back on Sunday doing my normal show as well at 7:30 South Africa time Sunday. So no, you're not going to see me tomorrow. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I know you love this DJ shit. And that also means you won't see Rainbow Ray. Can we get Rainbow Ray again to say goodbye? It's very important Rainbow Ray comes back, bro. Come on. Okay, so guys, I won't see you tomorrow. Be safe. PPI tomorrow, another potential market mover out there. Things could still get spicy. Don't play massive positions, smaller positions. Wait for the bigger moves. We'll get there, okay? We're in this together. See you guys later. Right, did you liquidate it?
Yeah, I got rugged. Unbelievable.